Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me on part 5 of the series Are We Born Sinners? If you have not yet seen parts 1 through 4, I'm going to go ahead and put a link to part 1 here so that you can check that out and stay up to speed with what we've been discussing. Now, before I get into the question that I left at the end of part 4, I wanted to talk about something really quick that I talked about in that last part, which was the fact that Jehovah omitted information, from Adam and Eve, did not tell them all of the things that would happen as a result of their action of eating of the fruit, did not tell them that their children would die, that all of humanity would be affected from their one decision, And I was asking the question, why would a loving God omit such information, since this would most likely be very pertinent information that would be needed for them to weigh everything out and decide if they were going to do this or not, But he didn't do that. So what I wanted to address on this video, or about that on this video, is those people who would say, well, most likely Jehovah did say something to them, it just wasn't in the Bible. Why not? If that were the case, why would it not be in the Bible? This is a very important part of the Bible. Like I said before, it's the foundation, because if you really think about this, if this whole Genesis fall never happened, the rest of the Bible isn't really necessary. I mean, maybe some of the principles would be good for us to be able to see and hear, know about. But as far as this whole thing about salvation and, Jesus and all of that it leads up to in our day, that would not even be necessary if this fall didn't happen. So the stuff that happened in the fall was very important. And it would be pertinent information for us to know, as those who are reading it, what actually transpired. Okay. You can't tell me it's about keeping this concise and just telling us what we need to know in order, we just have to go on faith and he just provided for us what we need to know. He didn't need to give us all the details. Okay, but just think about this. If that's what it was and he's just not giving us the details because he's God and he doesn't have to, well, why does he give us all these details when it comes to the Israelites? Think about all those pages upon pages of the genealogy. I know you guys hated reading that stuff just as much as I did. So-and-so beget so-and-so, beget so-and-so, beget so-and-so. And they're like these crazy names that we can't even pronounce. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. Why do we need to know that? Why? We can't even prove any of those people historically existed. Like, if you really just tried to find that out, we don't need to know their genealogy. Okay? So it's not about that. You can't tell me that what I'm saying is less relevant than the genealogy of Israel. It reminds me of these movies like, Transformers, the Avengers, Star Wars, how they, at the beginning of the movie, you're already at this part, where the plot is about to begin, right? But it tells you this backstory. But the backstory is not very detailed. It just kind of says, in a faraway land, or a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far away, this happened. There's this war. These people were going against these people. And then it gets you up current to the day that's important, which is the start of the movie, to let you know this is where we're starting. That's sort of how it is in Genesis. The first several chapters talk about some major stuff. The fall, Noah's flood, the Tower of Babel, all of these major things. But they just give us a few sentences or a couple chapters or one chapter, But then when you get to the Israelites, now it's giving you all of this genealogy and it's following through the whole entire life of each individual. Come on now. There's something else going on here, you guys. So I just wanted to say that regarding that. And just something to think about. But now, getting to the topic for this particular video. At the end of part 4, the question I left was, how is it that we as humanity are infected with sin as a result of something that 2 adults with free will decided? How is it that we are affected? Now, when I say how is it that we are affected, I do not believe we are infected, okay? But I already know that there's no real, scientific or medical proof that these doctors can point to say, see, this is sin in your DNA. This is how it looks. No, there is nothing in there that would show that. We just believe this because of the Bible and because of these religions, okay? But when I say how is it that we are infected, what I mean is what do people think? How do people look at this whole thing and try to prove that we are sinners, okay, are born into this world of sin, and that we are prone to doing wrongdoing. Okay, people believe that we are born with this condition and that it starts as children, that we start to demonstrate that we are leaning towards sin. Okay, so some of the things that I've heard, I actually asked someone recently, like, do you think that we're born sinners? And she said, yes, according to the Bible, that's what it says. And I asked her, well, how do you think that this manifests as little children? And she said that, well, the fact that, a child comes into the world knowing nothing, and you have to teach them, and you teach them, what's right and what's wrong. And they generally just lean to the wrong. And the way that she said that they do this is because you don't have to teach a child to hit to get what they want. That was one of the examples. They just do this. And also they act, you don't have to teach them to scream and act out, when they want to try to get what they want, right? Another thing I saw when I was reading some comments on a video was somebody saying something about lying. You don't have to teach a child to lie. This is just an automatic thing they just do. So this shows you that they are sinners. Okay, or at least that they lean towards doing what's wrong, okay, because they don't need to be taught to lie. Okay, so now let's just talk about all of these really briefly, okay? The first part about teaching a child to hit. A lot of times when children hit, they've seen this, whether it be they get spanked or they've seen other children hit each other, seen it on a movie or show, seen their other siblings hitting, even if their siblings are playing, the child may not know this, but they've seen it. Like my son, for example, when he bumps his head or something, I'll spank the thing that he bumped his head on. Okay. And so he started doing that. And now he starts to, he's just barely turned one. If he bumps himself into me, he'll try to hit me. Right. So he's not doing that because of anything negative. Obviously, he's seen me do it to other items. Okay. And that's how that started. But a lot of times that's what it is. Okay. But for those situations where that's not what it is, that a child has never seen hitting at all, and they just did it on their own. Well, my thing with that is, how about it's just a matter of training, that it doesn't have anything to do with being born into sin. Okay. Our hands as humans is something that we use for all type of things. We use them to wave. We use them to pick things up, to eat food with, all of this stuff. So it would only make sense that a child who really doesn't know boundaries, who really hasn't learned how to navigate and how to deal with other people yet, that they may try to hit to get what they want, do something forceful with their hand to get what they want. But that doesn't mean that that child is a sinner. Okay, that doesn't mean that that's what they're leaning towards, something wrong, because hitting is not necessarily wrong unless it's done in the wrong situation. Like, for example, if you are a boxer, is hitting wrong? No, that's a sport, right? Not to say that everybody agrees with that sport, but it wouldn't be considered wrong. If you are hitting to defend yourself, like if somebody's trying to attack you, is it wrong to hit them? No. But it is wrong to hit to hurt someone, correct? So it's the context. The hitting itself is not wrong. It's when and how you use it, when and how you do it, okay? And this reminded me of something that's so simple, like with animals. Like, I'm gonna just use dogs. When dogs are in their litter, they learn from a very early age not to bite, to hurt their siblings. Like, of course, they play fight using their teeth, right? But they learn because they try to bite each other. Then if they bite too hard, they'll get, reprimanded, or, the other dog will get upset or whatever. So they learn what it is and what it's not. So there's all these uses for their teeth. They use their teeth to eat. They use their teeth to chew on things. They use their teeth to bite people, even if it's playfully, but also if it's, to hurt somebody, if they're trying to attack somebody, whether that's out of being vicious or that's out of protection, right? So when does biting become wrong? Well, when it's done in the wrong situation. If you're a pet owner and you have a dog, you know what I'm talking about. You don't want your dog to bite you because you're not supposed to do that to me. You could bite on your toy, but don't bite me. So it's not that biting is wrong. It's that when you do it, the times that you do it is what makes it wrong. So my point is, as the adults, we determine the context. We determine when something is right and wrong. Okay. It's not necessary. A lot of times, okay, it's not the act itself that's right or wrong. It is the context. Okay. Now, when it comes to the other thing that she said, which is about acting out, children will do that to try to get their way. But if you think about children, they're developing, they are, they start to get their own individuality at a certain point. They may want things. And how else do they get them? They started off coming out of this womb, crying to get what they want. Then as they learn to talk, of course, they start using their voice in certain ways to get what they want. But those children that you see acting out in the store like crazy children, that situation was not nipped in the bud by the parent. Okay. Because my daughter has never done anything like that. Even if she got close, that was checked real quick. Okay. So a lot of times when you see children doing that kind of stuff, that's because their parent allowed them to do it. Okay. But the other thing was about lying. Now, a lot of us think that, Jehovah is so against lying. Liars will not inherit the kingdom, right? And so we think that lying is so bad. So when this person brought up that you don't have to teach a child how to lie, okay. But really just think about this, you guys. It is all, again, like I said, context. When it comes to lying, you can justify lying at certain times, even if you don't think that lying is a good quality. What about little white lies? What about people who tell their children about Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy? You're lying when you tell them about this guy coming down the chimney or this little, magical, I don't even know what the Tooth Fairy is, but coming and getting the tooth and putting $1 under the pillow or whatever. You're lying to the child, but that's a little nice, innocent lie, right? So it's okay. But when a child lies, a lot of times they're doing it to protect themselves because they have learned that, I'm not supposed to do this. I could tell by their tone that the way they're asking me, did I do this? I'm probably going to get in trouble, right? Or I definitely did something that I know that I wasn't supposed to do. So I'm probably going to get in trouble. So the child has begun to understand this, and they understand that in order to protect themselves, they may need to say something that's not true. Does that mean that they're sinning? Well, let's think about this. Look at Abraham in the Bible. Okay. Most people don't have a problem with him lying when he was going to, through Egypt with his wife, Sarah, whom he said was his sister. And why did he do that? Because he was in fear that they would kill him if they seen how beautiful she was. Correct? So how many of you have a problem with this patriarch in the Bible, this man who, was so pleasing to Jehovah? He lied to protect himself. Okay. And that's the same type of thing that a lot of times a child does. Lie when they think they're going to get in trouble. That doesn't have anything to do with sin. Okay. So this is my thing, you guys. Just think about this. If you had not ever had that concept, had not ever heard of it, would you think that the things your child is doing or trying to do was sin? Most likely not. It's this concept that you have 100% accepted that's making you think that they are doing that when they do the things that they do. But generally speaking, you would just think that they were just learning. They didn't know anything. They come in with a clean slate. You have to teach them. Okay. But remember, context is everything. And the parents and society teaches children what is acceptable and what's not. Let's just say that if you were born into one family versus another family, you might think something is good in this family. In this other family, you would not think it was good. You would think it was bad. So like you're born into a KKK family, okay? You would think that it is a good thing on a Friday to hang a person of African descent and sit around with your family and eat lunch while doing this and while watching this. You would think that that was a good thing. This was just normal. Did you know that that's where the word picnic came from? Pick a in. Okay. Now I'm not going to say the word on YouTube, but that's where that word came from. That's where picnic came from. Okay. So my point with that is just to say they would think that was good. Okay. That would be acceptable in their household and in, around all of the people that they would hang around. But in my family and in some other families, even that don't look like me, they would not think that that was good. They would think that that was bad. So they were taught what was good based on their parents' perception and ideology of what was good, correct? That's the same thing when it comes to anything else. It's not that lying is bad, except for the fact that we think it's bad based on, the stuff that you read in the Bible or what you adopt from your religion. It's when and how you lie, when you're using this lie, how you're using this lie to be deceitful or to protect yourself, to be deceitful or to, try to surprise someone, lie to them so that you can throw them a surprise birthday party, or lie to your children so you could give them this special holiday or something, right? So we need to stop looking at these little things and saying that this is showing that we are born sinners. Okay. I was reading this article. The title of the article was, "Why does God kill babies in the Old Testament?" He said that the fact that God kills babies in the Old Testament is not showing that God's love is lower than we thought. It's showing that our sin is greater than we thought. Okay. So this is what I want to leave you with. This whole concept of Jehovah killing babies in the Old Testament is something that can only be justified if we think that we are born sinners or born into sin, as some people like to state. So is this act really justified? This is what I want to talk about on part 6. Okay, so I look forward to seeing